Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to our 8th Committee of the Whole meeting. Still stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Jeff Renahan, 1st Ward.
Bill Carlos, 2nd Ward.
Joe Conti, 3rd Ward.
Michael Safone, 4th Ward.
Joseph Lepore, 5th Ward.
Ann Schurshin, 6th Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
Baisley, supervisor for the town. Tonight's committee of the whole agenda, we have one discussion of excavation law and then committee reports. Mr. Carlos, the
Okay.
excavation law is yours.
And yours only.
Here.
Got it.
Okay, you're getting the draft copy. You've got one attached to an email. And this all started 2 years ago when Mark started his repaving projects. We're spending $10 million. And in my ward, we had 3 streets that were decimated during constructions. And I called the Association of Towns to see if there was some kind of permit law. What's that? That we would have some kind of control over people that cut into the road surface. And this document came from that. So the law behind this is from the Association of Towns, New York State Association of Towns. Then we brought it here to the Infrastructure Committee, and we went through it and changed it where we thought it was better for the town of Poughkeepsie. We then gave it to our attorney, Jim, who went through it and put it into the legal language that you're looking at now. I don't want to take our time to go through it line by line. I just want to hit the main points of it that are in the law. This was in front of infrastructure today, and the Infrastructure Committee voted yes to send it to the town board. So we'll have a resolution at a future meeting, put it down for a public hearing, then we'll have a public hearing. Permit. This is no person shall enter, cut into, dig, excavate, whatever word you want to use, one of our roads
Page 2.
without having a permit. The idea of the permit is so that the highway superintendent knows that somebody's going to do work in the road, and we can inspect it and check to make sure the road is returned to its correct shape. For an example, the water main leak break that we had on Spring Road, almost to Route 9, by the end of Kerr Road, by the time I got there, that hole was down about 16 or 17 feet. When they fixed it, they brought it all the way up to the surface, and then they put that cold patch in it. Well, they went back, dug it out, and repaved it, so that if we have a problem with a town road, it's returned to the surface that we want and to the approval of the highway superintendent. The permit fee is going to be relatively low because we want people to tell us that they're doing this, whether it's for a sewer connection or redoing their driveway. The law indemnifies, that's not the right word, authorizes the highway superintendent to be the enforcement authority. So if he finds work that's being done without a permit, he has the ability to issue the ticket to bring the people into court. He also has the ability under the law to reach a civil agreement. We call it an offense, and there's a fine, $500 to $1,500 for the first offense, or up to 2 days in jail. But the highway superintendent can enter into a civil compromise and accept payment and then drop the penalty. I think the law is in the best interest of our roads. We're protecting the town people's money. This is their tax dollars paid to pave these roads, and this law is designed to protect it. There's an emergency exception, so if something's wrong and they have to dig in, then they dig in and they call the highway superintendent the next day. And I think it's a good layer of protection for us to have.
On the correction, you said 1,500 or 2,000 on the penalty?
For penalties, it can be up to $2,000 or 2 days in jail.
Yeah.
But the idea is to get the road fixed the right way, so if the individual is gonna spend the money to fix the road, we don't have to, that's why I like the idea of the civil compromise, so that the highway superintendent can say, okay, it's the way it's supposed to be, and the matter is over with.
No, I like this. The only thing I would add with this is to put a performance bonds to it. And with the percentage that after the work was done and accepted, there would be the bond return. So there is no such a thing here because,
174-25, insurance guarantee, security and deposit.
but it doesn't say what percentage of deposit.
Oh, I see, you're talking about an amount?
Yeah. Would it be percentage based on the contract work? Yep.
Well, the only one that I see is if a public corporation like Central Hudson does it, they have an undertaking with us on file, but I don't, you're talking about the individual homeowner.
There's no specific formula. What it says is that the highway superintendent sets the amount of the bond based on his estimation of the cost to do the work by either the contractor or, in the case of default, by the town. I think maybe what you're talking about is frequently when people have mechanics lien bonds and a judge bonds off the mechanics lien, the judges will say it's the cost of the work, assuming in this case that it would be prevailing wage, because we have to prevailing wage when we hire people, times something like 1.25. You're looking for a formula, is that right?
Well, my point is that we want to make sure that the contractor did the job right at the end of the excavation. So that's what I'm talking about, more a performance bond that after he's done, it was acceptable by the superintendent of highway to make sure that the job was done right. I don't see in this language here.
Well, under security, it's under there, right?
Yeah, there is a
When you
provision.
look under
Yeah, but there is no
And there
such
is a provision for retention. But you're right, there is no arithmetic formula for the amount of the bond. And your suggestion is rather than leaving it to the discretion with guidelines to the highway superintendent, should be a formula based on what it costs to do the work.
Correct.
Okay, I can do that, or I will do that, if you want.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if it's necessary, I think we should do it. Then we're gonna slow it down before, because I want you to have the right one in front of you when we vote on it. Even to set the public hearing, because once we set the public hearing, that's the document. So, if you can manage that, I'll send it back out to the infrastructure committee and we can go.
Shouldn't have to send it back to them, it's only a small change.
I shouldn't have to re-advertise. No, we haven't advertised it at all.
So I'm saying,
This is all preliminary. Okay.
that was the object of this.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I think this is a very good proposal. I mean, I see a lot of roads that after the work was done, it's worse than before.
Yep.
So I think it's a good thing. And thank you, Bill, Mr. Carlos, for this.
Would something like 110% of the estimated cost be acceptable to you?
I would say, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so one of our residents is gonna repave his driveway, and at the end of his driveway, it's gonna cut into our road. Then it's called mill, where then they
Yeah.
pave it so it matches. To repave his driveway, well, last time I did mine was almost $6,000. So I would put up a bond of 110% of $6,000?
No,
Only
not
put a
you.
piece on the end of your driveway.
Just the end of the driveway? Okay.
Mark was taking a deposit at one point for a certain amount, it wasn't anything close to 6,000. It was in the
Mark would probably be able to tell you
It was in the hundreds.
from experience.
That's why I like leaving it up to him.
Okay.
I like leaving it up to him.
Well,
That's why I still feel that I think the discretion of the highway superintendent is better.
Yeah, because we don't
But
want
that's
to be
his job.
beating
He
up
knows
on our
what-
residents.
Yeah, my whole concern with this is to protect the residents.
Right.
Protect the roads, but not abuse the people who live here.
Right. Because the problem we had in my ward was when they ran the gas lines to Coburn. that when they came back and repaved it, there's still little dips in it. It just didn't turn out as even as it was first. That road had just been done a couple of years before, so we didn't want to go back and repave it.
They didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
See, if it's a Public Service Commission entity like Central Hudson, then there's the bond, there's a holding, there's a whole bunch of controls that we have.
Right.
And if they don't fix it the right way, then they're gonna repave that whole portion of road. That's what I mean. And
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanna prevent, that stuff.
Yeah. I don't think if somebody's just redoing their driveway.
Right.
I'm not, I don't
agree.
think
We
I'm
need to
talking
have
about
a-
a resident, I'm talking about a contract that, like she said, didn't do a good job from the beginning. How do we go after them?
If it's a contractor working for a public service entity, we have a holding, we're holding $25,000. And if it's a big job, we can have the highway superintendent tell them to make it 50,000.
The bonds that are posted would be based on the value of the work. However, and I can't tell you exactly what page it is on, but it says that the bond is not the limit of their liability. The security bond is not the limit. There's that separate indemnity and undertaking agreement where, let's say somebody had a bond up of 10,000, but the damage elsewhere in the street was another 5. We still could pursue by suit the contractor for the other 5.
Right,
So that is in there.
okay.
So
Anything else?
you want a percentage or do you want discretion? I'm trying to.
I like the discretion, I think.
I like discretion.
I agree.
Leave it at Mark's discretion.
So leave it as is.
Yep. Okay, that's good for that. Committee reports? Finance, Mr. Lepore?
No report.
No comment?
Come.
Fire advisor?
Yeah, we had a meeting again, and we went over yet again the inspections that are required, and there's still about only a half of them that are done so far. So we're just trying to talk about possibly either realigning some things there to get some more inspectors out, or the possibility of looking into a part-timer to try to offset to get these required inspections up to date.
I think they should realign down
Yep.
there because there's some inspectors that are doing less than 100 inspections a year. They can put somebody out there.
So those are the things that we're looking at.
If not, we'll just change downstairs.
That's all.
All right, government operations in?
Nothing to report?
Land use and planning, Mr. Safone?
Nothing to report.
Personnel, Mr. Safone?
Well, I'd like to thank Ann and the supervisor and Taryn for helping with interviews for the court attendants. A list has been submitted, people have been retained, and they'll be starting training in the next couple of weeks.
Have we appointed them?
We will be.
In the process.
We're in the process. It's coming.
Okay.
You'll see it in the next coming weeks.
Recreation, Mr. Lepore?
No report.
When's our Christmas parade? Our holiday parade?
We're having a meeting tomorrow morning, so we'll find out.
Okay. Technology and equipment?
Nothing to report.
Water, sewer, highway?
Infrastructure, you just had it a few minutes ago.
Okay. Come to the end of that. Make a motion to open for public comment on anything? Nobody's here?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to say anything? That's good.
Marlene? No,
Motion to resume the rules?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Renahan?
Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following matters to wit: confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board, based on the attorney-client privilege. So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Town board goes to executive session at 7:16 PM. And I'd like to invite Mr. Cooper to come with us.